Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage, the Vault Series. Today's clip was shot here in Nashville back in 2004 with the original rhythm guitarist from the Nashville A-Team, Ray Edenton. Ray played on thousands of hit songs, thousands of sessions, and he'll show some of the instruments that he used on many of those historic sessions, as well as talk about how he became a session musician and his friendship with Chet Atkins. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Again, Ray Edenton.
This guitar was owned originally, I think originally, by Sam McGee, of Sam and Kirk McGee. He used to be on the Opry. And Hank Jr. saw it, and he got it from Sam. And Hank Jr. is a big collector of D28s, and this is a D18, which is a little smaller guitar.
Hank Jr. acquired this back,
I don't know when he got it. Back in he gave it to me in the 60s. So he just said, I don't want no 18s. He just gave it to me. I was doing the sessions with him, and back when he was on MGM.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had it ever since. Haven't done a thing to it. And it's a good one.
And that's
got a I think it's a 1937.
1937. And you say you've got 10,000 sessions on that guitar, you think?
10,000 sessions, at least 10,000 on here. Sessions, not songs, sessions.
Which could be 30,000
Could be 30,000 songs on there, yeah.
It's just amazing. And with that much use, it's still
in good shape.
In good shape.
Yeah.
And just to be that old, much less that used, it's incredible. Did you never had the fingerboard replaced or reshaved or anything? So you've got a pretty light touch then to not have pitted that fingerboard out. Rose Garden, was one of these guitars been used on Rose? That was used on Rose Garden? That's the rhythm.
Yeah, it was this guitar.
And you said, and you put the guitar down how many years ago?
91.
So you got one guitar from, I mean, you got one guitar from Hank Jr. and one from Chet Atkins.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind, would you give us the story on this prototype Gretsch and where it came from? And
well, you know, I was a rhythm player, and I've used arch top rhythm and flat top rhythm and a little bit of everything. And Owen Bradley wanted to use electric rhythm on Patsy Cline tunes, and I didn't have an electric guitar, so I'd borrow Harold's or anybody's and work the session, you know. And then Chet heard about it, and he said, I'm going to give you a guitar. Chet Atkins, and he gave me this guitar, which he said was a prototype that he had designed and built, had the company build them, but it was only one built. And there's not even a serial number on it or anything. And so that's where I got this. And it's a great guitar.
Yeah, it's just, you just almost look at it and it plays, you know.
That's a great guitar. Wasted on nothing but rhythm because I only played on 3 strings, you know, that's chink.
And the pickup switches, you had Ray Butts put those in?
Yeah, Ray Butts did the pickups and all the switches and all. He put all that in.
And this is Ray Butts made the original echo amplifier for
Shaker.
For Chet.
The one with the and Scotty.
And Scotty then next, yeah. Scotty heard Chet's and had him make him one.
He's great, man. He could make anything. Make great pickups. He also worked on a lot of Chet's pickups.
That's just an amazing instrument. You use that on Crazy with Patsy Cline?
Yeah, Brenda Lee, Jerry Lee. I put it on for a couple of years there, I put it on a lot of sessions.
That's truly it's a great story. It's a great gift from a great guy. You know, I mean, how many people can say that Chet gave him a guitar, you know?
Yeah, well, I could, you know, have sold it. And then I'd spent the money on whiskey and wild women, at least.
I don't think so.
Oh, you was asking me about my strings? Chet Atkins Gretsch.
That's cool.
I didn't even know they were in there. Somebody called for some musicians. This is right after Hank Williams had got fired off of WSM. And he was in Shreveport. Said, Hank's on a tour, needs some musicians. And so me and Ike Inman, the bass player that had been working with me, and I forget who else went. We went out and worked, I guess the last tour that Hank worked, up till Christmas. And we came back off that tour, and I went to Virginia home for Christmas. And I went down to my buddy that had booked the shows, had a big show going on down there. New Year's Eve, I went in to see him, and that's when we heard that Hank had died.
Really?
Down there.
So you worked with him for one tour?
One tour,
What was that like?
Unbelievable.
And you mean in as far as talent or crowd response or?
Well, of course, I hadn't been in the business. Of course, I started in '46, fall of '46, but this was in '52. And I had met Hank before he got fired off of WSM and seen his radio show. And of course, I knew all of his songs. And anyway, that's the first time I was playing rhythm guitar, archtop rhythm, and I forget who all in the band was. But when they first introduced him, he came out on stage, and it was unbelievable.
The response?
It was like electricity in the air. No, he just walked up there and started singing, and I never felt anything like it. The whole time he was up there. And he was straight, did great shows. But that was really something for me, you know. I'd never seen anybody do that, but just have that much charisma, you know. He walked up there. When he walked on that stage, you could have heard a pin drop in there. And when he sung, you could hear a pin drop. But when he got through, by gosh, the roof went up. But you could feel the electricity in the air. It was quite a thing.
So what did you do after that?
Well, I came back to Nashville, and I worked the road with several different people. COWBOY COPAS, for one, worked for him off and on. George Morgan, worked the road with him, and I was part of the first band for Marty Robbins. And I was part of the first band for Webb Pierce here. And Chet was still getting me a session every once in a while. We used to go to his house and record, me and Ernie Newton and Chet.
To Chet's house?
Yeah, at Belmead. We'd go out there. He had a little recording studio in his den. And we did a couple of albums out there. Just rhythm guitar and bass and Chet.
So Chet was one of the first home studios, huh?
Yeah, right. So that, and he got me started doing, like, what I told him, like Fred Rose demos out at Fred Rose's house. And that's where I met Boodle and Felice Bryant and a lot of other people out there. And then that started getting me sessions, you know. And then I got on the Opry with Marty. And on 53, I guess I got on with him. And he was a hot commodity right then. And then I worked, of course, I wound up working the Opry with everybody that was on it. And I wound up recording with every artist on the Opry.
No kidding.
Except this was back in the 50s now. Right. This was, except the Rod. I never recorded with Brass Field. Really? I did with MINNIE, but I didn't with Rod. But I recorded one time with every artist on the Opry back in those days.
Just barely missed Hank Sr. then.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. While I was doing demos, Fred Rose, Chet, and me and Ernie, they brought in one day, we was out there doing Felice Boodle O'Brien, I believe, some demos. Anyway, they said, hey, look at here, here's a record of a thing, I don't know whether it was a record or a tape, I can't remember, of Hank Williams. And the first two words on the first of the song, they'd cut it off or 2 or 3 words, first line. They said, could you sing that? I said, sure. Let me hear the song. I heard the song, and I sung those words, whatever it was, the first line of that song or half the first line, and they spliced it in. And then Ernie Newton and I did trio with him on a couple of hymns. And I don't even know what they were.
So you actually sang a word or two on a Hank Sr.
Yeah, on a record. Uh-huh.
As if people that heard it would think it was Hank Sr.
Yeah, I tried. I put a little nose in it, you know, all that good stuff. But it was just a few words, so it wasn't hard.
Did you think it ever came out?
I don't know. I've never heard it. If I did, I didn't know what it was. Or those hymns that Ernie and I did with him, I haven't heard them either. So I don't know whether it was ever released or not.
That's a neat story.
Yeah.
What led you into heavy-duty work in the studio?
Well, Chet got me in. He started using me on sessions. He was, back at that time, Chet was leader on a lot of sessions. He was not a producer, you know, back in the 50s. And he started using me on sessions. And then when he started using me, a lot of other people just built from there, you know. First big record I was ever on, I was talking to Kitty Wells the other night at this rope thing.
Right.
And was One by One. Her and Red Foley. That's the first big record I was ever on.
So Chet started using you a lot, then you started getting in demand with other artists and other producers.
It was way later that the A-Team started, you know. Also with Chet, I got to do all the Elvis sessions. All the Everly Brothers. I did all those sessions.
So you were on Dream?
All of them. Every hit
Wake
they
Up
ever
Little
had.
Susie?
Yeah. The first of the A-Team that I remember, the name, when we all got to going, the group that I told you the name of, the 5 guys in Charlie, or the 6 guys in Charlie, whatever it was, people would come in town, and back then there was so many independent record labels, you know, man, I'd do 50, 60 labels a year.
Labels?
Yeah. And they'd say, a lot of them would say, okay, says, I want you to hire you, I'm going to let you be leader on the session. They did this to all of us guys, not just me. They'd say, will you hire the musicians? You know, you'd say, yeah, who do you want? Says, just get the A-Team. And that's the way we got stuck with that.
Do you remember how that phrase got coined? Do you remember who was the first
you know,
person?
everybody's had an A-Team. One in every industry that is. You know, there's been an A-Team for this and that and the other, and but that's what I remember of it now. Some of the other guys remember it a little different. I know Harold. Also, all the papers picked it up. All the magazines picked it up. But the A-Team, and they'd always name us 6 guys.
Well, y'all are credited for creating the Nashville sound.
Well, part of it, you know. Grady was the one I left out of the A-Team. He was the biggie in the A-Team.
So you had Grady and Pig, you, Bob Moore,
Buddy Harmon,
and
Charlie McCoy if they wanted an extra one, because Charlie could play anything, you know. And a lot of times they'd want an extra player. And so Charlie would always be the one we'd get, usually, almost always, you know.
What was some of
This is what I remember of how it got started, because I used to go, I know from here, I'd go home to Virginia back then, where I was from, and they had a good writer down there in Richmond on the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and he always named us and always referred to, if any one of us was on a hit record, from the A-Team.
The Everly Brothers was artist that you guys played on?
That was before the A-Team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But there was still a number of those guys on the A-Team, weren't there, playing on those records?
Yeah, Buddy Harmon's on it, because Hank Garland played lead guitar on most of it, or Chet, and sometimes both of them. And Lightning Chance played bass, and I forget who played the piano. CRAMER probably.
Yeah.
But see, CRAMER, quit playing sessions before the A-Team was going.
Because he had his hit record.
Right, he quit doing sessions. Buddy and Bob, I think they said they did like 17,000, 18,000 sessions. I think I did about 15,000. Harold did about 20, and Pig about 25,000. and Charlie about 15,000.
Is that not just didn't that kind of boggle your own mind even just to think about that now?
No, it doesn't seem to boggle anybody else's mind either.
I mean, that's something that's never going to be repeated, I don't believe.
It's unheard of. You know, nobody will ever do that again. I did one time, I've told this before, I did 22 sessions in 5 days.
And explain to the people at home what a session is.
Session is 3 hours on the clock, like from 10 to 1, 2 to 5, 7 to 10, and so forth. And if you go over that, you got to do 5 sessions. And I did 2 days of 1 week, I did 5 sessions a day. We'd sleep in the studio anywhere, you know. Didn't get home.
How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep coming up with fresh ideas for so many sessions and songs?
Well, I don't know where you borrow or steal, however you want to call it, from other people. Remember the song Bread and Butter, New Beats? Remember that? Mm-hmm. Okay, I stole a lick off of that. For that rhythm lick is off of Dr. Feelgood, Piano Red. Old black guy that played,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, he put this record, they called me the doctor, Dr. Feelgood, and they had 3 guitars playing that lick, and I stole it and put it on New Beats record of Bread and Butter. Harold and me, and I forget who the other, I think it was just 2 of us playing on that. So you used everything you could. You listened to everything that was played, pop, country, rock and roll, whatever. You listened to it to get your ideas. Of course, I didn't have as much of that to do because I was a rhythm player, and I played rhythm to whatever they played, you know.
Were you affected by the Beatles at all? Was that anything that touched your...
Yep, hurt the business a lot.
Did it really?
Oh, yeah. Rock and roll hurt our business worse than anything. And the Beatles just happened to be part of that, you know.
Well, now the Everly Brothers, though, that was.
But they were classified as country back then. See?
Really.
Yeah.
But yeah, they too were such a huge influence on the Beatles.
Oh, I know. But in all the charts, they were country.
You know, we were speaking about how just what a great guy Chet was,
yeah,
and how many people he helped, and Don Everly told me years ago. He said, if it wasn't for Chet, there would have been no Everly Brothers.
Right. You know what happened? Maybe I shouldn't tell this.
Have at it.
The first session that they did for Cadence, ARCHIE BLEYER, he came down here and we cut it at the old studio. Anyway, the first RCA studio. The RCA didn't own it. And they cut there and we went from 10 o'clock in the morning until like, I don't know, sometime that afternoon, and he never got a cut. He got mad and left. Chet cut 4 sides in the next session just like that, which all those hits came out of. Wake Up Little Susie, Bye Bye Love, and all them. He cut 4 sides. Chet did it. Because Archie didn't understand our way of doing things. You know? Because he was a big band leader in New York, you know, big man. And he just didn't understand our way of doing things at all.
What did you think when you heard "Wake Up Little Susie"? When you were doing the record, did you know that you were playing on something that was going to be a monster or anything?
See, I used to double Dom's that lick. He tuned to a G chord and played, and I was back part of the time playing a high string, high third, with him, and part of the time playing an arch top, playing the same chords but not tuned down like he did. And we just knew they were good, you know. People were putting them down because they had long hair and all this stuff.
That's what he said. He said that Chet didn't care.
No.
Did you ever play on any of Elvis's stuff?
Worked one night with him all night. Have no idea what we cut, but I saw it in a magazine where my name on it, something that he did, but I don't remember.
Was it in B or A? Studio RCA?
B. The old studio, yeah. See, he started at 6 and he'd cut all night.
Was the Quonset hut built, was it already there, they just turned it into a studio, or was it something that Owen brought in and with a specific...
Owen was trying to put a film company together up there, do with films up there, you know, and I don't remember that, but I remember that little studio downstairs, which wound up being a ping pong room and a coke room, you know, and that's where we cut Ridge Washed out at the foot of the hill. I'll never forget that. Warner Mac. I didn't start working for Owen until, well, let me see, probably, well, when really working for him, I'd worked a few sessions for him. When Hank Garland got hurt, see, see, that was Hank and Grady and Harold were the 3 guitar players. And so when Hank got hurt in that car wreck, Harold moved, he was a rhythm player. He moved from rhythm to bass guitar, and Grady played lead, and I wound up the rhythm player on Owen stuff. And I worked with him forever.
Did you ever play in on Conway's?
Everything he did for Owen, I was on. Even did some on him when Jim Vino did him for MGM. The first sessions I did with Webb Pierce, and by the way, I think we did 20-some #1 songs with him. He cut down to old Castle Studios. Well, Lightning and I were the rhythm section. Back then, the rhythm was used as a drum. You know, you didn't get no tone, you just got a slap. And so Lightning had a drum head on his bass.
Right, which I've got.
Okay, but we played on one mic, standing up. He stood up and I stood up. Wasn't no sitting down in no chairs and playing because the mic was up here. So we did all those sessions on one mic. That opened both sides of those old mics like that, you know. It opened both sides of it. And then he'd tell us, the engineer would tell us which one to back up and which one to come in. A whole lot different back then. One person missed it, you had to do the whole thing over. No punch-ins. You played better. The best sessions that I guess that Owen did, everybody was in the studio once, including the string section. The voices, string section, the whole shooting shebang Elvis was there, you know. And they were great because you could feel it. Owen had such an ear. You couldn't get anything by him that was bad. You had to play it right. And I was doing a Jan Howard session, Evil on My Mind. I don't know whether you remember that song or not. Well, I was playing high string, high third. And I had the intro and the turnaround on it. Down, little, diddle, 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 diddle. Well, she had one verse that was 2 bars longer than the other verses. And we were supposed to modulate right after that, go up a half tone. And so we didn't have any charts. I just memorized it. You know? I was playing and playing, and I thought we'd got to it, and I went down, 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 went right back down. Hit one beat on it. She was telling me the other night. She laughed the other night. I saw her over there.
Did it stay in the record?
Yeah, that's the only thing I ever saw that ever did that Owen missed.
Maybe he liked it.
Well, I don't know, but he didn't say anything because normally that talk back would go on. Oh damn! Who did that show? You know, that's ugly. That was his favorite thing. It put so many players off. Oh damn! That's ugly.
That's ugly.
Yeah, but you know, that was just his way.
Well, how did the number system come about?
My version. Okay. Neil Matthews at the Jordan Ayers used the number system for years in a simple way. The real number system that I learned to use and most of the other guys, Charlie McCoy brought it here.
Charlie?
Yeah, he learned it in Florida in college.
You played on a lot of the Statler Brothers stuff.
Played on everything they did for years, including the one at Columbia, Flowers on the Wall.
You played on that?
Yep, I was on that.
Man.
That was well, I forgot. I think it was the Johnny Cash session that Johnny didn't show up on.
A lot of
when
those.
they were playing, they were singing backup for him.
You know, that's how Rose Garden came up, is that Billy had a session booked for George, and he didn't show up. So he gave it to Sutton. And Glenn went back there and cut Rose Garden.
You want me to tell you about the real Rose Garden?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you on that
Lloyd
session?
Green was supposed to have been leader on that session. And I was on the session, but Lloyd was leader on all of her stuff back then. And he got sick and couldn't make it. So Sutton came in and said, I want you to be the leader on this session. I said, okay, that's fine. So played the demo to Rose Garden, which the old boy in Georgia wrote, you know.
Joe South?
Yeah. And he came over to me, Sutton did, and said, now, I want a Everly Brothers lick on the front of this by you. I said, Glenn, it's too damn slow. You know, down. I said, the Everly Brothers is dun. He knew I'd played all that stuff.
Right.
And he said, I don't care what it is. I want you to put a Everly Brother lick on the front. So I put that da 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 da. I put it on the front on the guitar. Didn't have no strings in there then. They overdubbed the strings.
Right.
And I said, that's the worst sounding that I ever heard, you know. And I said, that's too damn slow. He said, well, we'll fix it. And he put the strings on. It sounded great.
I guess so. Was it one of the first platinum selling album out of Nashville or something?
I don't know. That was also the last session I did with her.
Really?
Yeah.